This hour of news and views is sponsored by Africa Muslims Agency. Africa Muslims Agency, a beacon of hope to communities for over 35 years in Africa and beyond. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome. You are tuned into Salam Media. This is News and Views. My name is Zahid Jadwit, and I'll be with you up until 10 o'clock this morning. Now, of course, it is summer. Today is the final day of the year, and I think many people at this point recollecting their special memories, some of their mistakes, some of their achievements over the past year, and obviously mentally preparing themselves for the next year. But what we're also doing when we go out, we are braaiing. In fact, I know a lot of people, you don't even need to go out. So a lot of people also have braais at home. I just recall now, as I'm walking for Salah, sometimes in the afternoon, some evenings, that smell of braai smoke permeating the air and the atmosphere. And then that really does remind you, well, this is summer. And this is what South Africans do. It's something we've been doing for many, many years. It's not just ever since we've had something called Braai Day. It's in fact something that goes much, much deeper in. It's a practice that has much deeper roots in our history. In fact, the practice of cooking meat, I just read this morning over an open flame, does have ancient roots in South Africa. Indigenous people like the Khoi and the San communities have been using this method for centuries to cook their food. So it's something that a lot of South Africans can identify with across cultural barriers and racial barriers as well. So, of course, if you are planning to braai this holiday, which I'm sure you are, you might want to get a few tips as to how to perfect your braai skills. And for that, we're joined by Najeeb Fazli of Forsmay Butchery. Assalamu alaikum. Shukran for joining us this morning. How are you?
Alaikum salam, alhamdulillah, and you?
I am well, alhamdulillah. Braai, have you had your first braai of the season yet?
We've actually had our first fry already. So we actually close and yeah, we always like to fry it. Obviously, having a butchery, we fry quite often.
Mm. What is it about a braai, at least for yourself, that really makes a braai a braai?
So a fry is more than just, I think, just cooking bunch of meat over an open flame. For us, it's more of it's actually a get together. It's more about sharing that experience. Everyone sitting around the fire. Generally, you have one person in charge of the fry, obviously. But everyone's standing around talking, having you sharing memories, all of that around one fire. It's just it
Mm,
brings everyone together, and that's always more fun than just having a normal meal. For example, I find.
mm. But of course, there is sometimes a bit of tension when you have two people who uh, believe they know better than the other about the best tips and techniques as to braaiing, right?
Yeah, no, that's 100%. That goes without saying. Obviously, certain people know how to fry, certain people basically more than others. I would say.
Mm. So then, what does make a good braai? Yep. Oh, or a good braaier, should I say?
I'm sorry.
So, what does actually then make a good braaier?
What makes that is that's more of a difficult. It's a difficult question to answer, but generally a fry is very easy to make. It's not there's not much going into it. Generally, if you know how to, if someone can cook normally on a stove, I'll be honest. My personally, I'm not the best at the stove, but obviously what's the thing was frying. I'm very good at frying. I enjoy a frying more than cooking on the stove.
Mm. Yeah, I actually just remember a family braai that we had. My family, we had a braai, I think it was last week, and we did see the clouds gathering, so it was a bit foolish to still go ahead. But a braai is a braai, and when you need a braai, you need to do it. So that was actually washed out, but we still enjoyed the actual atmosphere of sitting outside and sitting around the fire, and the process of slowly waiting, patiently waiting for the meat to be prepared, and then relishing it thereafter. So for people who are, you know I think many people sort of have an idea as to how to braai. They kind of know what needs to be done, what might not be need to be done. And I think when people think about having a braai, they think about putting out the charcoal there, lighting the fire, leaving it for a while, and then putting the meat on, waiting for the meat to be prepared, and then obviously having a feast thereafter. But what sort of tips are you able to share with us this morning, to take that braai to the next level? And perhaps maybe if we can just address some of the misconceptions as well, about what a braai is and what it is not, um, for people who are considering this activity.
Okay, so in terms of tips, I would say, uh, I spoke last year as well. I remember giving some tips, and the best tips I can give someone for buying is, it's quite easy, as you mentioned. First, lay your charcoal, wait a bit. Generally, fanning your fire is always good. That obviously makes it a temperature that's more suitable for buying quicker. You don't have to sit and wait longer. When you fan your fire quite well, it's good. A good tip to know is, your fire, how to know when the fire is ready for you to fry is, if you can hold your hand over the top for about 5 to about 7 seconds. That's generally around, like, you know the the the, the time when the fire is like ready to ready. When the meat is ready to go on the fire. You can hold your hand over the fire for about 5 to 7 seconds, then obviously it's ready. Another good step is always obviously having your meat ready next to you. People sound it, but people generally forget to. Remember, most meat, especially from us, and it's all vacuum packed quite tightly. And a vacuum bag is not easy to open. Now, having all your stuff, laying your chops out, knowing chops, sausages, whatever it is, having it opened, cuts already, makes a big help. It's already on. People forget that, and you don't want to be running around find your meat quickly in the fridge. And what they're being said, meat generally is best put on when it's room temperature. So another mistake people make is when you fry from like, if you leave in meat in the fridge and then you have in a the meat is still cold. It's generally best to let it come to room temperature and then dry. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. I think we really do look forward to hearing from listeners as well as to what do they think are some of the tips that they can share with us, as far as braaiing is concerned. And they can, of course, connect with us on the various platforms, Twitter included, where you can find us at Salam Media, and maybe discuss this a bit further. We do have some time remaining of the show, and we can obviously share these. I mean, what good is your tip if you don't actually share it with um, the rest of the community, and for everyone else to perhaps try that out and have fun in the process? But shukran so much for joining us this morning and for chatting to us.
I mean, Jazakallah so much for having me on. It was a pleasure. And yeah, always. And remember, if anyone is Brian, Forsmay Butchery is always the place to come.
All right. Shukran
All
so much
right.
for your time. That was
Okay.
Najeeb
Jazakallah.
of Forsmay
Okay.
Butchery, sharing his tips and ideas with us as far as prying is concerned. And of course, if you've got some of your own, you are most welcome to contact us and connect with us and perhaps share them. And we can then take it from there. Of course, you can find us on X at Salam Media. You can also WhatsApp us 0617660355. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll continue with the show.